Bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong. This is Joe, the bearded historian. He'll tell you an interesting history. Be careful of his soldiers, they can be brats. This is Angel, she's an entity. She'll cause chaos and plant her hands at you. This is Sue, she likes spirits, not the alcohol. She's the reason this channel exists. This is David, he likes fire trucks. He's here occasionally. Bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong. We preserve his story. Okay, let's try this again. I apologize if I sound like I swallowed a frog, but I have a terrible spring cold, so hang in there with me, okay? Ready? Here we go. Shout out time. Here's a shout out just for you. You support me, so I support you. This shout out is for our friend we're doing today. Now, I tried kayaking, and it crashed twice. And now we're trying ducks again. Alright. Okay, here we go. Maybe. Alright, here we go. Alright, I see D&L, I see Freckled, I see Spectral, I see Comic, I see Gamer Boy. D&L's really got the lead right now. Now there's Popcorn, there's Big Sun, and Lynn, and Leech, Really Haunted, and Sheena, and Squirrel, and African, and Sandra, and Lynn, and Airborne, and Myers. Let's see. Oh, Myers is in the lead. And their red duck. It's a ketchup duck. Oh, here comes Jewel catching up. Sneaking in from behind. Sheen's coming up. Oh, Myers fell back. Tramps are coming up. And Luscious is coming up. Looks like Luscious has got it. Okay. Hang on a minute. We are at 1100. If it stays this weekend and I feel up to it, I will do the big shout out next week. Probably Monday if I can. It just depends on how this weekend goes. Back to Luscious. It says, welcome to my channel. This channel is for sharing my journey in life and how I overcame poverty and using real estate. Most importantly, I've learned what it's like to have a balanced life, balanced diet, and balanced mindset. Very supportive channel. Check her out, like, share, comment, let her know we sent you. Bye, have a good day. Okay, Joe, tell us something interesting.
All right, well, for those of us who have been living under a rock, coming up on the 17th is St. Patrick's Day, or the Feast of St. Patrick, for the Irish, Leffe Padraig. The day of the Festival of Patrick is a cultural religious celebration held on the 17th, the traditional day that he died in 461, the foremost patron saint of Ireland. Now, this is observed by Irish people, the people of Irish descent, of the Catholic Church, Anglican Communion, Eastern Orthodox Church, and the Lutheran Church. Now, it is considered an ethnic, national, and Christian holiday. The feast day of St. Patrick and the commemoration of the arrival of Christianity in Ireland. Some of the events that they will mention include parades, wearing green shamrocks, drinking Irish beer and Irish whiskey. I have never done either. They usually have observances of Christian processions, attending Mass or service. I don't think our Free Methodists ever had anything to that regard, but then again, we're Methodists, not Lutheran. But a little bit of the information behind it. It was made a official Christian feast day in the early 17th century and observed by the Catholic Church, Anglican Communion, Eastern Orthodox. The day commemorates St. Patrick and the arrival of Christianity in Ireland, celebrating the heritage and culture of the Irish in general. Celebrations usually involve public parades and festivals. We got to see one of those up in Deadwood one year. Very exciting time. Christians who belong to the liturgical denominations also attend church services, and historically the Lenten restrictions of eating and drinking alcohol were lifted for the day, which encouraged and propagated the holiday's tradition of alcohol consumption. Now, in Ireland, it is considered a public holiday, Northern Ireland and the Canadian province of Newfoundland and Labrador for provincial government employees, and the British Overseas Territory of Montserrat is also widely celebrated in the UK, Canada, United States, Argentina, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, and especially among the Irish diaspora. St. Patrick's Day is celebrated in more countries than any other national festival. Modern celebrations have been greatly influenced by those from the Irish diaspora, particularly those of developed North America. However, there has been some criticism of St. Patrick's Day celebration for becoming too commercialized and for fostering negative stereotypes of the Irish people. Now, going back to the original guy, St. Patrick. This was a 5th century Romano-British Christian missionary and bishop in Ireland. Much of what is known about St. Patrick comes from the Declaration, which was allegedly written by Patrick himself. It was believed he was born in Roman Britain in the 4th century into a wealthy Romano-British family. His father was a deacon, and his grandfather was a priest in the English church. Now, according to the Declaration, at the age of 16, he was kidnapped by Irish raiders and taken as a slave to Gaelic Ireland. It is said that he spent 6 years there working as a shepherd, and during that time he found God. The Declaration says that God told Patrick to flee to the coast, where a ship would be waiting to take him home. On making his way home, Patrick went on to become a priest. According to tradition, Patrick returned to Ireland to convert the pagan Irish to Christianity. The Declaration said that he spent many years evangelizing in the northern half of Ireland and converted thousands. Now, Patrick's efforts were eventually turned into an allegory in which he drove snakes out of Ireland, despite the fact that snakes were not known to inhabit the region. Tradition holds that he died on the 17th and was buried at Downpatrick. If your name is Patrick and it's Downpatrick, that's just wrong.
I mean, they did put him down.
Hopefully not facing down. The following centuries, many legends grew around Patrick, and he became Ireland's foremost saint. Now, these celebrations, as mentioned, St. Patrick's Day celebrations, are greatly influenced by those who have developed among the Irish diaspora, especially in North America. Until the late 20th century, St. Patrick's Day was often a bigger celebration among the diaspora than it was in Ireland. Celebrations generally involved public parades and festivals, Irish traditional music sessions, and wearing of green attire or shamrocks. Also formal gatherings such as banquets and dances, all these are more common in the past. St. Patrick's Day parades began in North America in the 18th century, but did not spread to Ireland until the 20th century. Participants generally include marching bands, the military, fire brigades, cultural organizations, charitable organizations, voluntary associations, youth groups, fraternities, and so on. However, over time, many of the parades have become more akin to a carnival. More efforts have been made to use the Irish language, especially in Ireland, where first March to St. Patrick's Day to 17th March is Seachin na Gaeli, Irish Language Week. Since 2010, famous landmarks have been lit up in green on St. Patrick's Day as part of the Tourism Ireland's Global Greening Initiative, or Going Green for St. Patrick's Day.
That's kind of fun.
Yes, Sydney Opera House and the Sky Tower in Auckland were the first landmarks to participate, and since then over 300 landmarks in 50 countries across the globe have gone green for St. Patrick's Day. Now, Christians may attend church services, and Lenten restrictions on eating and drinking alcohol are lifted for the day. Perhaps because of this, drinking alcohol, particularly Irish whiskey, beer, or cider, has become an integral part of the celebrations. The St. Patrick's Day custom of drowning the shamrock or wetting the shamrock is historically popular. At the end of the celebrations, especially in Ireland, a shamrock is put into the bottom of a cup, which is then filled with whiskey, beer, or cider, and is drunk as a toast to St. Patrick, Ireland, or those present. The shamrock would either be swallowed with the drink or taken out and tossed over the shoulder for good luck. Irish government ministers travel abroad on official visits to various countries around St. Patrick's Day to promote Ireland. Now, on St. Patrick's Day, it is customary to wear shamrocks, green clothing, or green accessories. Everybody knows that if you don't, you end up getting pinched.
But geez.
St. Patrick is said to use the shamrock, a three-leaved plant, to explain the Holy Trinity to the pagan Irish. The story first appears in writing in 1726, though it may have been older. In pagan Ireland, 3 was a significant number, and the Irish had many triple deities, which may have aided St. Patrick in his evangelization efforts. Roger Holman writes, "We can perhaps see St. Patrick drawing upon the visual concept of the Triskele when he uses the shamrock to explain the Trinity." Patricia Monaghan says that there is no evidence the shamrock was sacred to the pagan Irish. Jack Santino speculates this may have been represented in the regenerative powers of nature and was recast in a Christian context. Icons of St. Patrick often depict the saint with a cross in one hand and a sprig of shamrocks in the other. The first association of the color green with Ireland is from a legend in the 11th century, Labor Gabala, Aaron, the book of the taking of Ireland. It tells of Guido the Green, the eponymous ancestor of the Gaels and creator of the Gaelic languages, Irish, Scottish Gaelic, and Manx. Godel was bitten by a venomous snake, but saved from death by Moses placing his staff on the snake bite, leaving him with a green mark. The descendants settled in Ireland, a land free of snakes. One of the first, visits Ireland after the climbing of the Tower of Hercules, being captured by the sight of a beautiful green island in the distance. The color green was further associated with Ireland in the 1640s when the green heart flag was used by Irish Catholic Confederation. Later, James Connolly described the flag as representing the sacred emblem of Ireland's unconquered soul. Green ribbons and shamrocks have been worn on St. Patrick's Day since at least 1680s. Since then, the color green and the association with St. Patrick's Day have grown. The Friendly Brothers of St. Patrick, an Irish fraternity founded in about 1750, adopted green as its color. The Order of St. Patrick, an Anglo-Irish chivalric order founded in 1783, instead adopted blue as its color, which led to the blue being associated with St. Patrick in the 1790s.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, the color green was adopted by the United Irishmen, and there was a Republican organization founded mostly by Protestants, but with many Catholic members, who launched a rebellion in 1798 against British rule. Ireland was first called the...
For a minute there, I thought you were going to say they were rebelling against the colors.
No. Ireland was first called the Emerald Isle in When Earn First Rose in 1795, a poem by a co-founder of the United Irishmen, William Drennan, which stresses the historical importance of green to the Irish. The phrase, wearing of the green, comes from a song of the same name about United Irishmen being persecuted for wearing green. The flags of the 1916 Easter Rising featured green, such as the Starry Pole Banner and the Proclamation Flag of the Irish Republic. When the Irish Free State was founded in 1922, the government ordered all post boxes to be painted green with the slogan, "Green paint for a green people." In
Are they all leprechauns now?
Apparently.
Cool.
Okay, but if they got all those pots of gold, why not? In 1924, the government introduced a green Irish passport.
Ooh.
There you go, that'd be cool. Now, the wearing of the St. Patrick's Day cross was also a popular custom in Ireland until about the early 20th century. These were a Celtic Christian cross made of paper that was covered in silk or ribbon of different colors and a bunch of rosette of green silk in the center. Now, St. Patrick's Feast Day, as kind of a national day, was already being celebrated by the Irish in Europe in the 9th and 10th centuries. St. Patrick's Feast Day was finally placed on the liturgical calendar by the Catholic Church in the early 1600s due to the influence of Waterford-born Franciscan scholar Luke Wadding. St. Patrick's Day thus became a holy day of obligation for Catholics in Ireland. It was also a feast day in the Church of Ireland, part of the Anglican Communion. The church calendar avoids the observance of saints' feasts during certain solemnities, moving the saint's day to a time outside of those periods. St. Patrick's Day traditionally affected by this requirement when March 17th falls during a Holy Week. This happened in 1940 when St. Patrick's Day was officially observed on the 3rd of April to avoid it coinciding with Palm Sunday, and again in 2008 when it was officially observed on the 15th of March. St. Patrick's Day will not fall within a Holy Week again until 2160. However, the popular festivities may still be held on the 17th of March or on a weekend near to the feast day. Now, in 1903, St. Patrick's Day became an official public holiday in Ireland due to the Bank Holiday Act in 1903, an act of the United Kingdom Parliament introduced by the Irish MP James O'Meara. Now, the first St. Patrick's Day parade in Ireland was held in Waterford in 1903, hundreds of years after the first parade in North America. The week of St. Patrick's Day in 1903 had been declared Irish Language Week by the Gaelic League, and in Waterford they opted to have a procession on the 15th of Sunday in March. The procession comprised the mayor and members of the Waterford Corporation, the Trades Hall, and various trade unions and bands that included the Berwick Street Band, the Thomas Francis Mager Band, and the parade began at the premises of the Gaelic League in St. George's and finished in the People's Park, where the public was addressed by the mayor and more other dignitaries. On Tuesday, the 17th, most Waterford businesses, including public houses, were closed, and marching bands paraded as they had 2 days previously. Now, on St. Patrick's Day in 1916, the Irish Volunteers, an Irish nationalist paramilitary organization, held parades throughout Ireland. The authorities recorded 38 St. Patrick's Day parades,
Wow.
involving 6,000 marchers, almost half of whom were reported to be armed. Yeah, go ahead and piss these guys off. That's not going to end well. This marked the beginning of the Irish Revolutionary period, which led to the Irish War of Independence and Civil War. During this time, St. Patrick's Day celebrations in Ireland were muted, although the day is sometimes chosen to hold large political rallies. This celebration remained low-key until after the creation of the Irish Free State, the only state-organized observance where the military procession and trooping of the colors and an Irish-language mass attended by government ministers. In 1927, the Irish Free State government banned the selling of alcohol on St. Patrick's Day, although it remained legal in Northern Ireland. The ban was not repealed until 1961. Now, the first official state-sponsored St. Patrick's Day parade in Dublin took place in 1931. Public St. Patrick's Day festivities in Ireland had been cancelled 3 times, all for public health reasons. In 2001, celebrations were postponed in May due to the foot and mouth outbreak, while 20 and 21 were cancelled outright due to COVID. In Northern Ireland, the celebration of St. Patrick's Day was affected by sectarian divisions. A majority of the population were Protestant Ulster Unionists who saw themselves primarily as British, while a substantial minority were Catholic Irish nationalists who saw themselves primarily as Irish. Although it was a public holiday, Northern Ireland's Unionist government did not officially observe St. Patrick's Day during the conflict known as the Troubles, late 1960s to the late 1990s. Public St. Patrick's Day celebrations were rare and tended to be associated with the Catholic community. In 1976, Loyalists detonated a car bomb outside a pub crowded with Catholics celebrating St. Patrick's Day in Dungannon. 4 civilians were killed and many injured. However, some Protestant Unionists attempted to reclaim the festival, and in 1985 the Orange Order held its own St. Patrick's Day parade. Since the end of the conflict in 1998, there have been cross-community St. Patrick's Day parades in towns throughout Northern Ireland, which have attracted thousands of spectators. In the mid-1990s, the government of the Republic of Ireland began a campaign to use St. Patrick's Day to showcase Ireland and its culture. The government set up a group called St. Patrick's Festival, with the aims of creating a world-class national festival to project internationally an accurate image of Ireland as a creative, professional, and sophisticated country with wide appeal. The first St. Patrick's Day festival was held on the 17th of March, 1996. The following year, it became a 3-day event, and by 2006, the festival was 5 days long. More than 675,000 people attended the 2009 parade, and that year's festival saw almost 1 million visitors who took part in festivities, including concerts, outdoor theater performances, and fireworks. From 2006 to 2012, the Skyfest formed the centerpiece of the St. Patrick's Festival. Now, the week around St. Patrick's Day is considered Irish Language Week, as we mentioned, which more Irish language events are held, and there is a more effort to use the language. Christian leaders in Ireland have expressed concern about the secularization of St. Patrick's Day. In the Word magazine March 2007 issue, Friar Vincent Torney wrote, "It is time to reclaim St. Patrick's Day as a church festival." His questioned the need for mindless alcohol-fueled revelry and concluded that it is time to bring the piety and the fun together. Why? Oh,
I think he's just jealous.
yeah. Everybody's having fun. We can't have fun.
He's not having any fun.
No,
so he's just
not.
Jealous.
You know, one of the biggest celebrations outside the cities is in Downpatrick, County Down, where St. Patrick is said to be buried. The shortest St. Patrick's Day parade in the world formerly took place in Dripsey, County Cork. The parade lasted just 23.4 meters and traveled between the village's two pubs. The tradition began in 1999, but ended after 5 years when one of the pubs closed.
Aw, sad.
You mean you can't just keep walking around the pub?
Apparently.
Bummer. Now, just like everybody else, other countries do get into this a bit of fun. In England, the British Royals traditionally present bowls of shamrock to members of the Irish Guards, a regiment in the British Army following Queen Alexandra's introduction of the tradition in 1901. Since 2012, the Duchess of Cambridge has presented bowls of shamrock to the Irish Guards. While female royals are often tasked with presenting the bowls of shamrock, male royals have also undertaken the role, such as King George in 1950 to mark the 50th anniversary of the formation of the Irish Guards. And in 2016, the Duke of Cambridge, in place of his wife. Fresh shamrocks are presented to the Irish Guards regardless of where they are stationed and are flown in from Ireland. While some St. Patrick's Day celebrations could be conducted openly in Britain pre-1960s, this would change following the commencement by the IRA's bombing campaign on mainland Britain.
Of course.
And as a consequence, the resulted in the suspicion of all things Irish and those who supporting them, which led to people of Irish descent wearing a sprig of shamrock on St. Patrick's Day in private or attending specific events. Today, after many years following the Good Friday Agreement, people of Irish descent openly wear a sprig of shamrock to celebrate their Irishness. Now,
That's
Christian
kind of
denominations in Great Britain observing his feast day include the Church of England and the Roman Catholic Church. Birmingham holds one of the largest St. Patrick's Day parades in Britain, with the entire city center parade over a 2-mile route through the city center. Organizers describe it as the third biggest parade in the world after Dublin and New York.
Woo!
Now, London, since 2002, has had an annual St. Patrick's Day parade, which takes place on the weekends around the 17th, usually Trafalgar Square. In 2008, the water of the square fountains were dyed green. In 2020, the parade is canceled due to COVID.
What?
Yes.
No.
Liverpool, which has the highest proportion of residents with Irish ancestry of any English city, this has led to a long-standing celebration of St. Patrick's Day in terms of music, cultural events, and the parade. Manchester puts together a 2-week Irish festival in the weeks prior to St. Patrick's Day. The festival includes a Irish market based on the city's town hall, which flies an Irish tricolor opposite the Union flag.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. Large parade, as well as a large number of cultural and learning events throughout the 2-week period. Malta, which was a British, what do you exactly want to call them? They
territory?
were a territory. They had a St. Patrick's Day celebrations that took place in the early 20th century by soldiers of the Royal Dublin Fusiliers who were stationed in Floriana. Celebrations were held in the Balzatuna area of the town, which contained a number of bars and was located close to the barracks. Nothing better than having drunked-up soldiers with rifles. This could not go bad. Surprisingly enough, though, the Irish diaspora in Malta continued to celebrate the feast annually, and today St. Patrick's Day is mainly celebrated at the Spinola Bay and the Paceville areas of St. Julian's. Although celebrations still occur at Floriana and other locations, thousands of Maltese attend the celebrations, which are more associated with drinking beer than traditional Irish culture. Norway has the St. Patrick's Day parade in Oslo since 2000, first organized by Irish expatriates living in Norway, and is partially coordinated by the Irish Embassy in Oslo. Now, Russia. The first St. Patrick's Day parade took place in 1992. Since 1999, there has been a yearly St. Patrick's Day festival in Moscow and other Russian cities. The official part of the Moscow parade is a military-style parade. Let's get the tanks out, kids!
They got parade most of the time.
Exactly. Collaboration with the Moscow government and the Irish Embassy in Moscow, the unofficial parade is held by volunteers and resembles a carnival. In 2014, Moscow Irish Week was celebrated from the 12th to the 23rd of March, which includes the St. Patrick's Day on the 17th. Over 70 events participating and celebrating Irish culture in Moscow, St. Petersburg, Yekaterinburg, Vozhorod, Volgograd, and was sponsored by the Irish Embassy, the Moscow city government, and other organizations. In 2017, the Russian Orthodox Church added the feast day of St. Patrick to its liturgical calendar to be celebrated on the 30th of March, or Old Calendar, 17th of March. Even in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina, has a large expatriate community. The community established the Sarajevo Irish Festival in 2015, which held a 3-day event including St. Patrick's Day. The festival organizes an annual parade, hosts Irish theater companies, screens Irish films, and organizes concerts of Irish folk musicians. The festival has hosted numerous Irish artists, filmmakers, theater directors, and musicians such as Conor Horgan, Alice Inralin, Dermot Dunn, Nick Manoli, Chloe Agnew, and others. Now, Scotland, the Scottish town of Coatbridge, where the majority of the town's population are of Irish descent, also holds a St. Patrick's Day festival, which includes celebrations and parades in the town centre. Glasgow has a considerably large Irish population, due in most part to the Irish immigration during the 19th century. The immigration was the main cause in raising the population of Glasgow by over 100,000 people.
Interesting.
Due to this large Irish population, there are many Irish-themed pubs and Irish interest groups that hold yearly celebrations of St. Patrick's Day in Glasgow. Glasgow has held a yearly St. Patrick's Day parade and festival since 2007. Switzerland, while St. Patrick's Day in Switzerland is commonly celebrated on the 17th of festivals, similar to those of neighboring Central European countries, it is not unusual for the Swiss students to organize celebrations in their own living spaces on St. Patrick's Eve. Most popular of those include Zurich's Kreis 4. Traditionally, guests also contribute with beverages and dress in green. Now, although not a national holiday in Lithuania, the Vilna River is dyed green every year on the St. Patrick's Day in the capital Vilnius. Now, over to the Americas. Hi, guys. One of the longest-running and largest St. Patrick's Day event parades in North America occurs every year in Montreal, whose city flag includes a shamrock in its lower right quadrant. The yearly celebration has been organized by the United Irish Societies of Montreal since 1929. The parade has been held yearly without interruption since 1824. The St. Patrick's Day itself, however, has been celebrated in Montreal as far back as 1759. By Irish soldiers of the Montreal garrison following the British conquest of New France. In St. John, New Brunswick, St. Patrick's Day is celebrated as a week-long celebration. Shortly after the J.P. Collins Celtic Festival is an Irish festival celebrating St. John's Irish heritage. The festival is named for the young Irish doctor James Patrick Collins, who worked on Partridge Island of the St. John County quarantine station, tending to sick Irish immigrants before dying there himself. In Manitoba, the Irish Association of Manitoba runs a yearly 3-day festival in music and culture based around St. Patrick's Day. And in 2004, the Celtic Fest Vancouver Society organized its first yearly festival in downtown Vancouver to celebrate the Celtic nations and other cultures. This event, which includes a parade, occurs every year during the weekend nearest to St. Patrick's Day. Quebec City, there was a parade that started in 1837 to 1926, and then it returned in 2010 after more than 84 years' absence. On the occasion, a portion of the New York Police Department pipes and drums were present as special guests.
Ew.
There has been a parade held in Toronto since at least 1863.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. The Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team, known as the Toronto St. Patricks from 1919 to 1927, and wore green jerseys in 1999 when the Maple Leafs played on St. Patrick's Day. Yep. They switched back to the St. Patrick's retro uniforms. That would have been cool to see.
That would have been fun.
Yeah. Now, some groups, notably Guinness, have lobbied to make St. Patrick's Day a national holiday. Why not? In March of 2009, the Calgary Tower changed its top exterior lights to new green CFL bulbs just in time for St. Patrick's Day. Part of the environmental nonprofit organization campaign, Project Porchlight, the green represented environmental concerns. The approximately 210 lights were
changed in time for St. Patrick's Day and represent Leprechaun's hat. After a week, the white CFLs took their place. The change was estimated to save Calvary Tower some $12,000 and reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 104 tons.
Interesting.
Now, this is the one that someday it'll be cool to see, but maybe on just passing through the town. Chicago does dye the Chicago River green for St. Patrick's Day. It has gone on for decades, because even as a kid, I remember this from the World Book Encyclopedias. Now, St. Patrick's Day, not a legal holiday in the United States, is nonetheless widely recognized and observed through the country. Celebration of Irish and Irish-American culture. Celebrations include prominent displays of the color green, religious observances, numerous parades, copious amounts of alcohol. The holiday has actually been celebrated in what is now the U.S. since 1600.
Wow.
With the first parade in 1601.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah. It's
I
customary.
didn't even know they had parades way back then.
Way back then. Yeah, that's kind of wild. It is customary for the Irish Taoiseach or Prime Minister to meet with the President of the United States on or around St. Patrick's Day. Just don't go up to Biden and tell him it's the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Traditionally, he presents the U.S. President with a Waterford crystal bowl filled with shamrocks. This tradition began in 1952 when the Irish ambassador to the U.S., John Hearn, sent a box of shamrocks to President Harry S. Truman.
Interesting.
From then, it became a yearly custom for the Irish ambassador to send St. Patrick's Day shamrocks to an official in the United States President's administration. Although on some occasions the shamrocks were given personally by the Irish Taoiseach or Irish President to the U.S. President in Washington. After a meeting between Taoiseach Albert Reynolds and President Bill Clinton, the presenting of shamrocks became a yearly custom. Mexico, the St. Patrick's Battalion is honored in Mexico on St. Patrick's Day. Argentina has a party in Buenos Aires in the downtown street of Reconquista, where there are several Irish pubs. In 2006, there were nearly 50,000 people on the street and the pubs nearby. Neither the Catholic Church nor the Irish community, the fifth largest in the world outside Ireland, take part in this organization of the party.
What?
Why? You're Irish. Enjoy it. You get a day off. Now, Montserrat, the island known as the Emerald Island of the Caribbean because of its founding by Irish refugees from St. Kitts and Nevis. Montserrat is one of 3 places where St. Patrick's Day is a public holiday, along with Ireland and the Canadian province of Newfoundland and Labrador. The holiday in Montserrat also commemorates a failed slave uprising that occurred on that date in 1768. Now, Australia, they don't have the national holiday in Australia, although it is celebrated each year by countries, states, and territories. Festivals and parades are held on weekends around the 17th of March in cities such as Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, and Melbourne. On occasion, festivals and parades are cancelled. For instance, in Melbourne, 2006 and 2007, St. Patrick's Day festivals and parades were cancelled due to sporting events. They had the
I'm sorry, you can't have a break because we're playing sports.
Yeah, the Australian Grand Prix ran through the parade. Oh, crap. Being booked unplanned on the St. Patrick's Day festival and parades, in Sydney, the parade and the family day were cancelled in 2016 due to financial problems. However, Brisbane's St. Patrick's Day Parade, which was cancelled at the outbreak of World War II and wasn't revived until 1990, was not called off in 2020 as precaution for the COVID, in contrast to many other St. Patrick parades around the world. Now, the first mention of St. Patrick's Day being celebrated in Australia actually came in 1795, when Irish convicts and administrators, Catholic and Protestant, in the penal colony came together to celebrate the day as a national holiday, despite the ban against assemblies being in place at the time. The unified day of Irish nationalist observance would soon dissipate over time, with celebrations of St. Patrick's Day becoming divisive between religions and social classes, representative more of Australianness than of Irishness, and held intermittently throughout the years. Historian Patrick O'Fowell credits the 1916 Easter Rising in Dublin and Archbishop Daniel Mannix of Melbourne for reigniting the St. Patrick's Day celebrations in Australia and reviving the sense of Irishness among those with Irish heritage. The organizers of St. Patrick's festivals in the past, more often than not, were Catholic clergy, which often courted controversy. Bishop Patrick Phelan of Sale described in 1921 how the authorities in Victoria had ordered a Union Jack be flown in front of the St. Patrick's Day parade, and following the refusal of Irishmen and Irish Australians to do so, the authorities paid for an individual to carry the flag at the head of the parade. This individual was later assaulted by two men who were later fined in court. Aww. Now, New Zealand, Australia's little brother, from 1878 to 1955, St. Patrick's Day was recognized as a public holiday in New Zealand, together with St. George's Day and St. Andrew's Day in Scotland. Auckland attracted many Irish immigrants from 1850s to 1860s, and it was here that some of the earliest St. Patrick's Day celebrations took place, which often entailed the hosting of community picnics. However, this rapidly evolved from the late 1860s onwards to include holding parades with pipe bands, marching children wearing green, sporting events, concerts, balls, other social events where people displayed the Irishness with pride. While St. Patrick's Day is no longer recognized as a public holiday, it continues to be celebrated across New Zealand with festivals and parades at weekends on around the 17th of March. Now, Asia, St. Patrick's Day parades are held in many locations across Japan. The first, being in Tokyo, was organized by the Irish Network Japan in 1992. Korea has an Irish association. They celebrated St. Patrick's Day since 1976 in Seoul, the capital city. The place of the parade and festival has moved from Itaewon to Daejeon to another long name I'm not even going to try to pronounce.
Aww.
In Malaysia, the St. Patrick's Society of Selangor, founded in 1925, organizes a yearly St. Patrick's Ball, described as the biggest St. Patrick's Day celebration in Asia. Guinness anchor Berhad also organizes 36 parties across the country in places like the Klang Valley, Penang, Johor Bahru, Malacca, Ipoh, Kelantan, Kota Kinabalu, Miri, and Kuching. And if there isn't enough Irish for you on the Earth, yes, they actually have St. Patrick's Day at the International Space Station.
Woo!
Astronauts aboard the International Space Station have celebrated the festival in different ways. Irish-American Catherine Coleman, Women's History Month, played a 100-year-old flute belonging to Matt Malloy and a tin whistle belonging to Paddy Maloney,
That's
both members of the Irish music group, the Chieftains, while floating weightless in the space station on St. Patrick's Day in 2011.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. And interesting enough, her performance was later included in a track called The Chieftains in Orbit from the group's 2012 album Voice of Ages. That's cool.
That's fun.
Yeah. Chris Hadfield took a photograph of Ireland from Earth orbit and a picture of himself wearing green clothing in the space station and posted them online for St. Patrick's Day in 2013. He also posted online a recording of himself singing Danny Boy in space. Now, for all the fun, St. Patrick's Day celebrations have been criticized, particularly for the associated with public drunkenness and disorderly conduct. Some argue that the festivities become too commercialized and tacky and sort of strayed from the original purpose.
Hasn't?
Yeah, everything gets hijacked one time or another. You know, Irish-American journalist Noel O'Dowd has criticized attempts to recast St. Patrick's Day as a celebration of multiculturalism rather than the celebration of Irishness. St. Patrick's Day celebrations have been criticized for fostering demeaning stereotypes of Ireland and Irish people.
I can kind of see that one, but
the biggest problem I've got with the idea of people trying to say that it's demeaning to the Irish, you know, you look at all the other groups that, you know, there's always going to be somebody that's offended by something.
Right.
You can either. I had this argument one time. If we took away everything that is offensive to everybody, you're going to have Team A playing Team B, and Team B is upset because they're not A. It's right? That stupid, you know. You don't see the Boston Celtics getting rid of the Celtic logo because they think it's offensive. No. The Boston Celtics kicked everybody's butts. They were good at what they did. They played basketball. You know, you don't see the Minnesota Vikings losing the Vikings because they think the Vikings were a bunch of horrendous people that like to pillage and, you know, do all sorts of things back in the 10th to 12th centuries. No. It's a football team. You know, for the Irish, you know, it's one of their pieces of history. It dates back to a guy who was their patron saint back in, you know, 4th century. In a lot of the holidays anymore, there are groups that will take things a step too far. But at the same time, does that mean we have to, you know, completely dumb down all our favorite hobbies? No. You know, enjoy what you like to do and have some fun with life, you know. But, you know, they have parades all over the United States. They have parades in Boston. Chicago is big. The Irish are very strong in the Midwest. I mean, shoot, the Irish came all the way over here into the Dakotas in a couple different places. But that is our little history tidbit for the joys of St. Patrick's Day and his the myth of him chasing snakes out of Ireland. There were no snakes, not many to even think of. I can't even remember if there were any snakes to start with. But this is
They say that never was any snakes.
No, not unless he brought them with him. But
they chased him out so he could be special.
Exactly. But this has been Joe the Bearded One. That's Sue, manning the phone. Please wish Sue get well soon. She's suffering badly with a cold that all of us have had at least once or twice. But for the Mud Files, this is Joe. You folks have a good evening.
Night night.